Good evening. This is Maestro with the Dawn of War 2 Retribution Elite Modcast, and today we've got a full Faction War series between the Space Marines and Chaos. Our first player going to be LOCALgHOST, playing as the Apothecary. This is a healing commander with a targeted heal, a passive heal aura, later on a much bigger, stronger active heal aura if you want. His first teammate will be Corona-chan, a Force Commander who is a tanky melee hero who can buff with Battlecry and disrupt with Battlecry. And finally, on the Space Marine team, we're going to have Katla, playing as the Tech Marine, a Space Marine ranged hero with a gun for every occasion, and can also repair. Their opponents going to be the forces of Chaos, starting off with Lokyo, playing as the Chaos Lord. This is a tanky melee hero who walks through cover and cannot be suppressed. His next teammate going to be Daddy Waroth, playing as the Plague Champion, a Chaos ranged hero with a damage over time bolter, can get melee weapons, can heal, can repair. And finally, it's going to be Logis, playing as the Sorcerer, Sindri, Trollface, Chaos Sorcerer. This is a spell casting and control and manipulation hero. So this will be the last faction war for March. Fittingly, it comes at the end of March. And then, well, there should be another faction war event for April, so next set of faction wars will come once that starts happening. Force Commander potentially in trouble. I think he goes down in retreat here. Yep. That damage over time bolter combined with the melee from those double heretics means one dead Force Commander right in the middle of the map, a little bit past the middle, so not going to be the easiest revive to get on a Force Commander, but still possible. Apothecary looks like he might even be moving in to see if he can attempt to revive. He's got shotgun scouts here, along with his tactical marines that are chasing after some heretics, choosing instead to go for the generator bash, but it looks like here's a flank coming from Lokyo's Chaos Lord. So he sees that, so that looks like why he's moving out here, but he wants to quickly finish off this generator. I think he has just enough damage. Oh, he's trying to finish it off, but it's also building at the same time, and he will actually get it. Quick upgrade to the Purification Vials for LOCALgHOST, something that tactical marines can afford to tank, heretics not so much. Heal on the scouts to prevent them from losing a model in retreat. Purification Vials, he was going to use it, but then I think he interrupted it, possibly even accidentally. There go the Purification Vials. Are we going to see that be the wipe for the heretics in retreat? 7 hit points. They will not go down, but the Apothecary will. So that is now 2 Space Marine heroes down. Far too early in the game for Laraman's Blessing to be an option, so it's going to be the Tech Marine attempting to revive the Force Commander, but he's in a precarious position now. He's being targeted. That's going to be that's a 3rd Space Marine commander down. Unfortunately, he probably should have recognized that he was just too low in hit points for that to really happen. Right in front of some Chaos Space Marines, not even in cover. So all 3 Space Marine heroes down is not a good start for our Space Marine players. They do have a victory point lead, but the Chaos team will quickly rectify that as they will soon have a double cap Corona-chan actually even asking for the Laraman's Blessing, or looks more like Lara Ham. But yeah, as I said, with only 53 red, yeah, LOCALgHOST, there's no chance of a Laraman's Blessing happening at the moment. Tactical Marines will pincer this Chaos Lord, force him to retreat, but he will get out of there just fine. Looks like a model was lost on this squad, and some generators are being targeted on this side of the map. Understood. Tactical Marines going to be chasing after these scouts. Sorry, chasing after the heretics. They will themselves now find the chase being turned around as some Eternal War Chaos Space Marines start hitting them, and managed to retreat just in time before losing a model. Yeah, I think once he was being chased by the Chaos Space Marines, it should have straight up been a retreat, and he's mostly just lucky that he wasn't punished and didn't lose the model earlier. Oh my god, where are these scouts going? They're going far too deep, and I can't imagine them getting out of here alive. I imagine they were looking for a grenade on this Havoc squad, but they were just... I think it was just a micro mistake where he accidentally moved them in far too much. Devastator Marines here, they are upgraded with advanced targeting, so and attempting to use those vengeance rounds to try to wipe the Havoc in retreat, but still just not enough.
We are losing. We have lost a generator to enemy fire.
The visual effect of the vengeance rounds in Elite Mod is quite cool. Meanwhile, Tactical Marines are idling on this power node. Probably issued a capture order before the node was active. Meanwhile, on this side, grenades attempted to counter the heretics. A complete swing and a miss on that one, though. Space Marines, wow, victory points were quickly turned around. Space Marine team does not even have their natural at the moment, so it's a 2-0 ticking against them. Devastator Marine Squad will suppress one squad of Chaos Space Marines. They decide to retreat out of there, but there is a squad of Heretics on the flank. Probably going to tie them up. Probably don't even need to Doom Blast. And a heal to try to save those Devastator Marines. Yeah, heal saves those Devastator Marines from losing a model. Don't think this is a good engagement for the Tax. With the Chaos Lord here, he knocks them over, gets a special attack. They might even lose a model in retreat. It's pretty close. Still a chance, but it's only range fire at this point. Not as strong as melee for killing in retreat. All right, so we do have an Apothecary who's alive. He's going to revive the Force Commander. Apothecary is now, he needs to retreat, otherwise he might go down again. I don't think the Force melee here around will be enough to take him back down. So our Chaos players now really asserting dominance on the map. They've had 2 victory points for a while now. Ever since Space Marines were at 500 victory points, now only at 333. Scouts are infiltrated. They are not detected. There is no detection, so I imagine we'll see a grenade to combine with that suppression. Where's the grenade? It's coming out. Feels like it's so late. Grenade on 2 squads. Hits the squads, does not actually kill a single model, and instead loses a model in return, which actually means that ends up being a losing trade for LOCALgHOST, since he was not able to kill a model with that grenade. Now Nurgle Worship is coming in, and this is going to definitely be a Generator Bash attempt. Yeah, there are Chaos Space Marines all over the place, but instead they're choosing to engage the Tactical Marines on this side. Yeah, double Tactical Marines with plasma guns. But at least one of those squads is being tied up by the Heretics. Heretics at some point will be bled, and they will need to get out of there. Now it's the Chaos Lord by himself trying to take down these Tactical Marines. So only one generator ended up being bashed in the end. These scouts, there is detection around to detect them, but they managed to get close enough. They use a shotgun blast. I'm not sure if they had enough energy for a grenade, and I don't remember the exact energy cost, but they don't use a grenade on that Havoc. Chaos Space Marines decide to leave. They're up against a full health tax squad as well as an Apothecary. Oh no, looks like Lokyo may have lost track of these Heretics. Luckily he doesn't suffer too many losses, and that Heretic squad should make it back to base just fine. On this side of the map we are going to see a Tech Marine downed, but we also see a Assault Cannon Dreadnought. Assault Cannon Dreadnought is something that I often approve of very much for the damage that it can put out. I mean, this is a ranged weapon. It's only piercing, but it does 55.26 DPS. Also grants that Assault Cannon barrage ability, which can be very powerful. It also has longer than standard range, so you often outrange many other range squads when you're targeting something with the Assault Cannon Dreadnought. Tzeentch Chaos Space Marines will target these Tactical Marines. I think one squad is Tzeentch, the other one just has an Aspiring Champion, but no mark. They will undoubtedly outshoot both the Tactical Marine squad as well as the Apothecary here. Havoc is setting up, going to pull the Apothecary into the firing arc and then turn around and focus fire him. That's how the flowchart works. Indeed it does. Meanwhile, on this side, we are going to see the Dreadnought trying to chase down the Chaos Space Marines. Definitely putting in some damage into them, but they don't lose a model yet, and now they're getting Nurgle Heal Worship. Meanwhile, a Plague Marine squad is out here. Now, Plague Marines, it's enough to at least let your opponent know that you can't just run rampant. Oh, Assault Cannon Barrage winding up. Look at the damage it's doing. Actually wipes out that squad of Chaos Space Marines. He did not give them enough healing before exposing them to the range fire of the Dreadnought. A little bit of a misplay there by, it looks like this is Daddy Waroth. Unless, I'm not actually sure if it was his Chaos Space Marine squad that was killed. No, it had to be, because it was getting Nurgle Heretic Worship. Meanwhile, on this side, here is that pincer attempt. Going to be coming out from Logis. Throws in some Doom Bolts. A Noxious Cloud goes down as well. And we've got some Bolter Scouts all alone. They have no chance of winning this engagement, but they want to throw a grenade in anyway, but it's a complete miss. Force Commander now needs to retreat. Still a chance that he could go down and retreat. Oh, these are Khorne Chaos Space Marines. No, they're not. They're actually, I thought they were. They seem to be moving quite fast. Possibly just a melee charge. Meanwhile, on this side, oh, we're saving the Librarian from going down with a heal. Oh, wow. And we have the Apothecary equipped with the Anointed Power Axe. I don't feel that I see this too often. It is, out of the Apothecary's melee weapon choices, it is the more powerful one. It's 50 DPS power melee. It also restores 15 energy to the Apothecary and burns 15 energy from the target. Meanwhile, he has the Armor of Purity. So, yeah, I think part of the idea there is to have the Apothecary have heals up more often, as well as have more energy for his heals. But he needs to respect these Chaos Space Marines that are shooting at him. All right, finally, he does go. Okay. Two cast, yeah, it is indeed two cast players that are here, Daddy Waroth and Lokyo. I think that, that one Devastator Marine squad will need to get out of there. And I think that was, it must have been LOCALgHOST who called two, or someone, since he does need to, yeah, I mean, he's going to have to back off now, being threatened by two different players. While on this side, we're going to have another engagement going on. Tome of Subjugation to... Yeah, Tome of Subjugation actually didn't get a huge amount of value there, but the Tech Marine will go down and retreat. Logis throwing in more Doom Bolts out of that Tzeentch worship, but the Heretics will need to get out of there. Ultimately going to be a winning engagement for Chaos on this side, especially with the support of Daddy Waroth. Now with the double Plague Marines. Double Plague Marines trying to do some damage to the Dreadnought. Problem is, with Plague Marines, their overall damage is relatively low because they do fire quite slowly, and the DPS... against a vehicle for Plague Marines is actually quite low, so it's not the biggest threat against that Dreadnought, and I don't think it should be too hard for Katla to play around those double Plague Marines. He's still calling it though. Power node will be destroyed by our Space Marine players in the middle, and that will open the way for this Scout Squad, which doesn't have a weapon upgrade, but does have a Sergeant to start capturing the power node in the middle. So Space Marines, oh my, we've got some Terminators. Oh, Librarian frequently in trouble here, and we're frequently seeing some clutch heals by the Apothecary. Activates the Gate of Infinity and will just need to immediately retreat. Unfortunately, he's caught his own Apothecary in that. That might result in a kill on his own Apothecary. And indeed it does. Tried to cover the Librarian's retreat with the Force Barrier, but ended up killing his own Apothecary. Meanwhile, Plague Champion could be in trouble here. He must have... Oh, he's actually got the Fetid Armor, not the Armor of Pestilence. Fetid Armor is something that I feel is... It's actually my first time seeing it in 2020, since starting casting again. Fetid Armor doesn't quite grant the tankiness that the Armor of Pestilence does. Instead, it grants him the Unholy Stench ability, and when it says that it does courage damage, that basically means that it can suppress. So, these... Oh my god, look at all those Heretics dying in retreat. But here is a Havoc to start targeting this Dreadnought. I think the Dreadnought will be able to get out alive. One more shot does not go in from the Havoc. Oh, it looks like it's resetting up anyway. I don't know about this force melee by those Chaos Space Marines. Yeah, they did. I mean, I guess they didn't want to deal with the plasma damage from the Tactical Marines, but they also just had less health going into that. So it's now a 2-1 for the Space Marines. Victory points are actually pretty even. Assault Chaos Space Marines will be suppressed, but I think there's enough of a flank coming around here, or not so much a flank, but just coming in from so many different angles, and the Drain Life on the lead model will kill the lead model, but they do get out of there from the Gate of Infinity from the Librarian. Heal will go in on the Devastator Marines, or was that on the Tactical Marines? Their models kind of overlapping there, and the Chaos Lord will go down in retreat, attempting to get that decap. I don't actually know if he did go to retreat. Wow, Havoc's... I feel this is quite bold to say. I mean, obviously he wants to target the Dreadnought. Does not actually even fire on the Dreadnought, so a little bit of a misplay. This is going to be an Assault Cannon Barrage. And they actually have to worry about now dying. Assault Cannon Barrage. No, it's just going to be a Smite. There's the Assault Cannon Barrage to finish it off. Yeah, that was a little too bold, especially considering those Havocs only had about half health. Terminators will be called in for Chaos, as well as a Great Unclean One will be moving up. Now, the Great Unclean One, there's a lot of sources of damage against that. Okay, that Great Unclean One, though, pulls in the Devastated Marines and does take them down. Plasma Devastator is going to be knocking down those Terminators. Victory points are pretty even, but it's going to be our Chaos players taking the 2-1 victory point at this time. Meanwhile, on this side, this is not looking like a good position for Katla. He's about to be pincered by 2 players. Assault Cannon Barrage goes in. Damage of that was mitigated quite a bit by the Demon Shield, however, and now this Dreadnought is in a lot of trouble. It's being chased down by so many different units. Chaos Space Marines are there, and it should be the end. I think even... Are these Vanguard Veterans? Vanguard Veterans use Merciless Strike, but I don't think that's enough to save the Dreadnought. They... Oh! And now, Assault Jump was used by the Tome of Subjugation. This is potentially a bad position for these. I want to see what's going to happen here. How strong is the punishment going to be? Warp Fire was used to knock them down. They only just now retreat. 2 models killed, and I'm looking at the punishment here just because this is so devastating. That might be the wipe on the Vanguard Veterans. No, they have too many hit points that they are able to survive the... They are able to survive that, those Dark Flames. But that was pretty vicious, and that is some of the punishment that that Sorcerer does have to offer with the Tome of Subjugation. Can really punish some of those high-value infantry squads. All right, Space Marines moving in to take the middle victory point, but Chaos has actually made their way, throwing in some Doom Bolts, and then, man, these double Khorne Marines. I mean, Khorne Marines are actually really, really scary, especially now both these Khorne Marines are at level 3. They do have a passive speed increase from having the Mark of Khorne, and those power axes are actually just really threatening. 30.77 DPS power melee per model, which... It's weird. I mean, statistically, that doesn't come out to a bigger number than many other melee squads, but there is just something about the combination of their melee skill, their speed, their retreat killing potential that does actually make Khorne Marines incredibly scary. Meanwhile, Tactical Marines will be subjugated. They are shooting back at other Tactical Marines. Meanwhile, on this side, we are going to have a Predator moving in. This is not a Las Cannon Predator. Actually gets targeted by the Las Cannon Devastator. It's actually really low in hit points. This is a Multi-Melta Dreadnought chasing after it, and the combination of the Multi-Melta as well as a Plasma Cannon finishes off that Predator, which, to be honest, it went way too far forward. It never had to go that far forward. Ooh, but we have a Summoning Circle actually wiping the Devastator Marines with the Las Cannon. That's probably quite possibly the highest value Summoning Circle that I have ever seen. Meanwhile, these double Dreadnoughts are going to be receiving repairs from the Blessing of the Omnissiah Global from Katla. So, Tactical Marines trying to get around that line of sight blocker before they lose a model. Probably going to, well, we're going to see if Local Ghost is so friendly enough to provide a heal to his teammate. Would be nice. Meanwhile, this looks like a Terminator call-in. Indeed it is. Those Terminators now going to start turning their hammers, but this is also going to be another Terminator call-in from the Chaos players. Terminators from Corona-chan are already upgrading to Lightning Claws, something that will help them to rip apart the Chaos Terminators as well as the Great Unclean One. Plague Marines somehow in melee with the Dreadnought. Dreadnought will be content to just hit them with its Power Fist. Meanwhile, these Terminators, with these upgrading to Lightning Claws, kind of in trouble. They managed to teleport out without losing a model, but this will be a one engagement for our Space Marine players, and they will get a decap on the middle victory point. Very even first game we have here, though, in this series, 200 to 193. However, it will be our Space Marine players regaining control of the victory points and starting to tick the victory points down in their favor. That is a smite. Yes, that's what it's called. Took me a little bit while to remember that. Smite going in on these Terminators. These Terminators, I gotta say, I feel they're in a little bit of trouble. Could potentially be losing a model. They're being shot at by some Plasma Tactical Marines. That is a lot of plasma from our Space Marine players. Going to be very threatening to the Terminators as well as that Great Unclean One. I mean, I think it's our players here. Oops. Corona-chan, yeah, with the double plasma attack. Local Ghost. He has a plasma attack squad as well. And then is there a triple plasma attack here from someone? Trying to look at these squads. Oh no, one of these squads is a Stern Guard veteran squad. Still confusing with it having that same plus icon, which I use to indicate to myself which one is a plasma attack squad, but the Stern Guard veterans do share that. Land Raider Redeemer will move in. This is the push attempt to try to take the victory point back for our Chaos players. This is a unmarked Predator, now in a huge amount of trouble. It's going to be chased down by the multi-melted Dreadnought, took a plasma shot, and I think it's moving in a bad position. I think it will eventually go down. It's such a close call. 17 hit points. It seems to be out of there, but the multi-melted Dreadnought is still moving in, undeterred, and does finish off the Predator. That was quite bold. The multi-melted Dreadnought might end up paying for it with its life. And indeed it will. Meanwhile, the Dreadnought with the las cannon still alive, getting directly into melee with this autocannon Terminator squad. This Dreadnought, wow, this Dreadnought is trying to be a hero. It's trying to make its chapter proud. Keeps on going in. It has no support. Doesn't even have Blessing of the Omnissiah at the moment. Gets another Terminator model. I mean, at this point, he might even just be content to sacrifice this. What else is going on over here? Because I'm just watching that. Librarian was taken out by the Land Raider Phobos. That hurts so much. Dreadnought is still in base here, trying to finish off that Dreadnought, or finish off that Terminator. I don't think it will. Meanwhile, back here, I mean, that was crazy. It was hard to watch both things at the same time. I did feel that Dreadnought in base was interesting enough. I think it did kill 2 Terminator models. You know, this is a Land Raider Phobos that is right in base, and who is this in here? I mean, it's Local Ghost Stronghold, but these are also Corona-chan's Terminators. They need some help here. They actually just can't deal with the Land Raider Phobos. On this side, though, you know, it's starting to look like those. I was gonna say those. I don't know what just happened there. Oh, I see what happened. Those were some Plague Marines. They were in trouble of dying, and it was Logis who actually used the Sorcerer's Warp Global on Daddy Waroth's Plague Marines to save them. So our Chaos players will actually take 2 of the victory points at the moment. So they are behind 170 to 119, but it is our Chaos players with the double cap. And it felt like a really strong push for them, but Infiltrated Scouts will get the decap on the Chaos Space Marines natural.
We are losing a power node to the enemy.
Terminators will... Where'd they go? They teleported away. I don't know how much teleporting away was necessary when they could have just ran out of there with that Khorne worship. I guess it really prevents them from taking any damage and trading out any health, but it also burns a pretty significant cooldown.
Understood.
Okay, Scouts were able to get the decap, but not the full cap. So now it's the Space Marines players' attempt to push in, engage, and see if they can take back the contested victory point. Teleporters went in, but the Dirge Caster stuns the Chaos Terminators, and now they're taking so much damage. The Khorne Marines, if anything, why are the Khorne Marines not attacking them in melee? Khorne Marines would absolutely rip the Terminators apart. Oh my god, these Terminators... I don't know if they might have teleported in as well. That's the end of these Terminators. Oh my god, that was brutal. That Dirge Caster hard countering those Terminators. That is quite unfortunate. So Chaos players will come out on the winning end of that engagement. It was ultimately quite a failure with having those Assault Terminators trying to lead the charge. They're just too well countered. Meanwhile, wow, these Khorne Marines seeing if they can finish off this Stern Guard veteran, but I don't think they can. One squad of Scouts in a whole lot of trouble. You know, with no weapon upgrade, I'm even not sure what these Scouts... Oh my god! I think they took a direct missile hit. And things are starting to fall apart for our Space Marine players. What is this squad here still doing here? I think it's actually going to be killed. One more swipe from those Chaos Terminators would have finished it off. Instead, Chaos Terminators actually lose a model of their own. Plague Champion still actually walking around with the Fetid armor instead of the Armor of Pestilence.
The chapter stands with you.
Scouts under attack.
Scouts looking like they were maybe attempting to get a decap since they are running out of time at the moment. Where are they going? Briefly revealed by the Chaos Space Marines that they walked by. I mean, I guess at this point, oh, they've been revealed. So they've been sniffed out. They're probably maybe looking for a decap on the Chaos Natural. That's my best guess. Oh my god. I think he's hoping to have them re-infiltrate. Actually does get them to re-infiltrate, and it looks like our Chaos players have actually lost track of them. Thing is, where else could the Scouts be going right now? It's very predictable that the Scouts should be looking to capture the victory point. So that's why we see units, Chaos units, converging on the victory point. However, it seems like they're giving up the chase with LOCALgHOST trying to be real sneaky here. He took such a circuitous path. Eventually, though, someone, Daddy Waroth, was smart enough to see that they're still here, but he's not able to shoot at them because they're still infiltrated while decapping. Finally, at this point, Scouts need to actually retreat, otherwise they will actually get wiped. And wow, that is quite a stealth mission by LOCALgHOST. Buying time for his team. Tech Marine here has switched to the plasma gun. I think overcharge is active. And they're managing to push them back. This Scout squad is still here. They have 69 hit points. Chaos Space Marines will turn, possibly finish off the Scout squad. Is he going to get this Scout squad out alive? You've got to be kidding me. That is crazy. But here is the approach. Chaos from this side. Tome of Subjugation used on the Assault Terminators. Las Cannons coming in from the Land Raider Phobos, doing quite a bit of damage to the Terminators. Tech Marine was pulled in by the Great Unclean One. Dirge Caster will be cast, stunning the Vanguard veterans, and really reducing the value that they're going to get. Meanwhile, it looks like a drop pod was used here, trying to maintain control of the Chaos Natural for the Space Marine team. No one's fighting over the contested victory point at this point. 2-1 with the Chaos, with the Space Marines having control of the Chaos Natural for the moment. Oh no. This last cannon Predator, I think, is gone. Why is it driving back in? It needed to try to go around the corner. This one needs to just try to get out of here. It needs to just drive away. Drive up, go through, I think these are some stairs. Drive down the stairs, don't stop. Oh no, it still took another shot, and that is the end of that Space Marine Predator. I feel like if it had just kept driving back, it would have had a chance to stay alive. Meanwhile, the Apothecary is here by himself. There's a blood sacrifice, and I just realized that our Space Marine players have pretty much lost their entire armies. So I don't see any way, in spite of all the heroics by LOCALgHOST, for our Space Marine players to come out with a win in this game.
We have failed.
And that will indeed be the concede. So it's going to be a 1-0 start for the Chaos team. Let's see what our Space Marine players can do to see if they can come back into this series. All right, then, game number 2 in our series between the Space Marines and the Forces of Chaos will take place on Cathari Ruins. Corona-chan will be returning on the Force Commander. Meanwhile, LOCALgHOST and Katla going to be playing as Tech Marines in this game. There we see Katla on his Tech Marine. Their opponents going to be the Forces of Chaos, same heroes, same players. Logis on Sindri, Trollface, Chaos Sorcerer. Daddy Waroth on the Plague Champion. And finally, going to be Lokyo on that Chaos Lord. Alright then, we are going to see the Plague Champion move in. I think he's just barely in cover. Scouts move back, decide not to trade out against the Plague Champion. Would definitely be a losing trade for them. While the Plague Champion will now decide to just engage directly with the Tech Marine. It actually looks like that Plague Champion might not be in cover, because it looks like they're going a bit about even in that direct head-to-head range fight. Tech Marine actually kind of in trouble with that damage over time bolter, but it looks like he is able to get out of range soon enough. Or is he? It's a close call. 6 hit points, 3-0. Does not actually. So, our other Tech Marine from Katla will be moving away. Chaos Space Marines aggressively going in. Don't know if this is really the play for them. At some point, I think they are going to start bleeding, but they decide to tie up the Tech Marine, which does mitigate. I mean, he can't do his range damage, and the Tech Marine doesn't really do any significant melee damage in his default form. I don't know what was going on with the Heretics there, but eventually they get shotgun blasted in. They're going to be out of here. Chaos Lord, meanwhile, does decide to just retreat entirely, instead to just back up. Daddy Waroth will start moving in. He's in cover. He has the Nurgle Worship, which is why we see Space Marines moving forward and targeting the Heretics instead of the Chaos Space Marines or the Plague Champion. Since those Heretics are very squishy, if you can target them, they will die quite quickly and will have to be forced off the field. And that gets rid of the healing. Meanwhile, Chaos Space Marines will be moving in for Force Melee. These going to be coming out from Lokyo again. Sometimes, though, I'm not so sure about these Force Melee attempts. Yeah, I mean, it was a foregone conclusion that eventually those Chaos Space Marines would lose there. One squad of Tactical Marines staying in here as long as they can. Light grenades will come in. A model still has not been killed from the Tactical Marines. Wow, really playing a game, really playing a dangerous game, keeping these Tactical Marines in here. At some point, they will have to go. On this side of the map, attempted Nurgle Worship to try to keep these Chaos Space Marines safe won't end up working, and the Heretics, once again, just like in the other time, down at the bottom of the map. Since there is only one squad of Heretics here, they are visible and easily focused down, which is one of the reasons why double Heretic builds are often good with a Sorcerer, since you can worship both Heretics, and then they will actually infiltrate each other. Shotgun Scouts will move in. Looks like they're going to dodge those Doom Bolts coming out of Logis, and they will probably attempt to decap on the Chaos on this victory point at the top. Heretics, man, Heretics, they have so few hit points that the Tech Marine, even just shooting them for like a few seconds, their health just drops so rapidly. And these Heretics actually choosing to get grenade launchers. Now, I think one of the idea behind these grenade launchers might be that with all the line of sight blockers on this map, you might actually be able to keep the Heretics safe behind one of those line of sight blockers, such as this structure right here, and then actually use, let's speak English now, and then actually just lob grenades over the line of sight blockers. So, double Chaos Space Marines. If there is a time for Force Melee, it is now. Force Melee on this Tech Marine, kill him in retreat. I think a missed opportunity there to kill the Tech Marine. I think if both squads of Chaos Space Marines had Force Melee'd him, I really would say for sure. I mean, it's already nearly a dead Tech Marine, down to 8 hit points. It absolutely would have been a dead Tech Marine if both squads of Chaos Space Marines had focused him. It's going to be a dead scout there from the Chaos Space Marines, Force Meleeing in retreat. Assault Marines, meanwhile, looking for some kills of their own. Might not get a kill. Actually, they don't have a jump anytime soon, so they will just have to do things the old-fashioned way and walk in. I would say at this point, go for the grenade launcher Heretics. Oh, there is the Blight Grenade. Assault Marines standing right on it when it hits them. Luckily, Assault Marines, because they do have so many hit points per model, a little bit more resistant to that ability than like a standard infantry squad. Doombolts hit in, connect rather nicely, and LOCALgHOST realized rather late, loses 2 models on that Tactical Marine squad, and lucky to just get it out there alive at all. 1-to-1 cap, but a significant victory point lead for our Chaos players at 491 to 273. Scouts will decap the top victory point. So it's now a single cap, actually, for our Space Marines, but not for very long. 1-to-1 cap again, with the Chaos Space Marines taking back the contested victory point. Chaos players also going to be moving into the bottom, and Katla's not going to be able to hold it for now. The Tech Marine got suppressed. Assault Marines are not out on the field, so he doesn't have a way of countering that. And that's going to be Chaos. Oh, no. I mean, Chaos at this point, soon to have a 2-0 cap, might even threaten the triple. I want to see these Heretics split off and capture right here. Oh, but the Scouts are going to move in, so they wouldn't be able to do that. Instead, he's targeting the Scouts with the Chaos Space Marines. He's going to put the Chaos Space Marines. Ideally, they want to be in cover, but then the Force Commander will approach. So will the Assault Marines. Battle Cry should be going. Yeah, Battle Cry is active right now. Give the Assault Marines a damage buff, and this should be the way the engagement will be won for this is Corona Chan. So yeah, a nice, basically kind of the correct flowchart of abilities for Corona Chan in that engagement. However, there is Daddy Waroth coming in here to support. The Assault Marines will be forced to retreat. Honestly, I'm not even sure if these Tactical Marines, well, right now he's just choosing to have them get some value by destroying the power node. And Daddy Waroth is not choosing to engage him at this time. So, meanwhile, on this side, Assault Marines well behind enemy lines. Luckily, they do have enough energy for a jump. At this point, okay, we're going to see the support. Unfortunately, I think that jump from... it's hard to tell whose Assault Marines are which at this point because there are so many different Assault Marines on the field. And with all the disruption coming out of all those assault jumps, they actually do manage to scare off all those Heretics. Chaos Lord eventually will get captured here. Captured? That doesn't happen in this game. Will get focused down and forced to retreat. Assault Marine's going to be targeting the Plague Champion. Plague Champion looks like he really just wants the decap, but he gets knocked down by the Assault Marine special attack. Yeah, at this point, yeah, I was wondering when that was going to come. Blight Grenade does happen. But another thing that I'm also wondering... Oh, those Doom Bolts going in! Why are these Assault Marines still here? And Warp Fire in retreat does finish them off. Yeah, I think those Assault Marines should have retreated much, much quicker. So should that Plague Champion have. Now, there's actually one fewer squads of Assault Marines out on the field now with that Assault Marine squad wiped, but there are still 2, and it also makes me wonder that if the Plague Champion is revived, we might actually see a switch to a melee weapon from the Plague Champion. Since those melee weapons on the Plague Champion, both are very good for dealing with the Assault Marines. Proximity mine will be detected and destroyed, but not before someone walks into it. Those Chaos Space Marines, not the smartest soldiers around. Assault Marines will jump in. Yeah, this is going to be a win in this engagement. Assault Marines, Chaos Space Marines. Oh wait, just kidding. Chaos Space Marines do have some support, but one model does die before they are able to get out of there alive. So Chaos Lord looks like he's moving in. He has upgraded to the Lightning Claws. Gives him a very, very powerful weapon. Something that could also be particularly good against the Assault Marines. He's got 2 abilities for disrupting the Assault Marines. Uses one of them there. That was Kill the Weak. And he actually goes straight for the Devastator Marine Squad. He's going to cut them apart very, very quickly. That 100 DPS power melee against those rather squishy Devastators. Assault Marines use Merciless Strike, hits air, and the Chaos Lord is still in here just ripping apart Assault Marine models, but he himself has to worry about going down to this Dreadnought. Double Plague Marines again out of Daddy Waroth. Double Plague Marines. They are eventually doing damage to this Dreadnought. Tech Marine, what is he doing? I don't know what he was doing there. Dreadnought. Well, with those Plague Marines targeting the generators instead of the Dreadnought. Ooh, he's being kited by these Plague Marines. Now, normally Plague Marines, I talked about how they aren't super high in terms of overall DPS, but there are 2 of them, and they're actually kiting the Dreadnought, splitting, pincering him. One of these Plague Marines might be in a little bit of trouble, though. This is actually risky business. What he needs to do... This squad... No! Why did he not... He broke off the chase off the other squad of Plague Marines. That allows it to shoot again. And it finishes off the Dreadnought. And I think this Plague Marine survives. That was a huge misplay there. I'm not even sure at this point. I don't even remember which player had the Dreadnought. But he should have had the Dreadnought continue to target and try to melee the low-health Plague Marine squad, while the Tactical Marines should have tied up the high-health Plague Marine squad. And with both Plague Marine squads tied up, there's neither one of them can shoot a missile at the Plague Marine, at the Dreadnought. But instead, he had both the attacks as well as the Dreadnought try to focus on only one squad of Plague Marines, which just let the other one turn around and fire the missile. So, double Tech Marines. One does have the Plasma Gun. Plasma Gun is something that, I mean, honestly, I'm surprised not to see Plasma Gun on the other one. Surprised not to see Plasma Guns earlier. This Plasma Gun does a lot of damage against Chaos Space Marines. A lot. Especially once Overcharge is active. Bloodlust will be used, but that is going to be a Chaos Lord down. Plasma Devastator shot goes in. Does a lot of friendly fire damage as well. Or actually, was that Bloodlust or was that Slaughter? I'm pretty sure that was Bloodlust. Yeah, that's definitely Bloodlust. Alright, so our Space Marine players trying to fight their way back into this game somehow, but it's not looking good for them at the moment. 92 victory points to 469. They've got a long way to go, but at the moment, they have stabilized. That is a Force Commander jumping in first. He doesn't have the energy for Battle Cry, though. Oh, and there is the Robes of Torment. Force Commander also gets trapped in that. This is not looking good for these Assault Marines. Missile Tactical Marine knocked over by Warp Fire. And this is a 1 engagement for Logis. Yeah, I don't see... Yeah, there's nothing else to be gained for this is Corona-chan in this engagement. He really just needs to get his units out of here. He doesn't even control the top victory point, so it's not even like he's giving up the top victory point. Needs to get out, regroup his forces, and then maybe just concentrate on the middle and the bottom. Oh, but we are going to see, I was going to say attempted decap, but no, that is a Havoc in retreat. Havoc will be okay. Double Zinch Chaos Space Marines doing a huge amount of damage to pretty much everything, because that's part of what they do, while an unmarked squad of Chaos Space Marines coming around for the flank. Unfortunately, this is going to have to be LOCALgHOST forced off in this engagement. He's too low on hit points. I think he's trying to reinforce off the drop pod, but the Tech Marine is nearly dead. Warp Fire is going to go in. Tech Marine is dead, I think, even before Warp Fire hits. And Stern Guard veterans losing a huge amount of health as well as models. 1-to-1 game, victory point game. Assault Marines jumping in, but they have so little hit points, about 40%. And yet they do scare off both the Heretics as well as the Chaos Space Marines into retreating. Merciless Strike will be used against the Grenade Launcher Heretics. The Chaos Dreadnought is still here, however. And we are going to see Grenade Launcher Heretics with Touch of Nurgle. Can still work out, but it means you actually need to get them into melee to really get value out of them. Touch of Nurgle works a little bit better with melee Heretics. And at this point, I think these Touch of Nurgle Heretics need to retreat, otherwise they will actually just be killed in retreat. And even with Touch of Nurgle, that Plasma Cannon shot does mean the end of those Heretics. I think those were Daddy Waroth's Heretics, since he does have none now. Assault Marines jump in. It's not a bad jump in for them, considering they're really mostly only threatened by the Chaos Space Marines, and they're tying them up. They do have to worry about the Chaos Lord, though. Chaos Lord will rip them apart very, very quickly. Just so much damage. Now they've used their second jump, and they have to worry about the Heretics in here. I think we're going to see one Assault Marine model go down. Another one could go down. We're seeing 2 Plasma Cannon shots going in. I thought I saw 2. I'm looking for the other Plasma Devastator. Plasma Cannon shot goes in, knocks over some Plague Marines. But that is going to be a Tech Marine going down as well, and Chaos players are now pushing back the Space Marines. Plasma Cannon shot goes in. It's a minor miss, does hit the squads kind of at the back end and does do some damage. Tech Marine with that Melt-A-Gun does also do pretty significant damage, so now it's a Melt-A-Tech Marine actually for Katla, which I guess it's more versatile than the Plasma Gun, because you would have the potential to damage vehicles as well, more significantly than you would with the Plasma Gun. But it's not looking good for our Space Marine players at this time. They're not retaking the middle, and in fact, they're about to lose the bottom victory point. So it looks like this could just about be the time where we might be getting ready to call game in favor of the Chaos team, looking to go up to 2-0 in this series. Tactical Marines with a Plasma Gun trying to do some damage to the Great Unclean One. Great source of damage against them, but I think there's just not enough out here for them to really threaten the Great Unclean One. Assault Marines jump in, attempting a decap, but they're going to be focused down by these Chaos Space Marines. They're also knocked down by the Chaos Sorcerer using the Warp Fire ability. Great Unclean One will vomit on those Power Army units. And this will also be a demonic summoning circle looking to tie up the Devastator Marines. It's a nice use of that demonic summoning circle, and that will also be the end of the game in favor of our Chaos players. So it is a 2-0 at this point, 2-0 lead. Chaos only needs one more to finish this game. Let's find out if they can do it in game number 3. All right, then, game number 3 in our series between the Space Marines and the Forces of Chaos will take place on Greysark Undercity. Our first player will be Katla, playing as the Force Commander. Next up, it's going to be Morty, playing as the Apothecary, LOCALgHOST on the Tech Marine. And now we're going to move over to the Forces of Chaos. It's going to start off with Lokyo on that Force Commander. No player changes or hero changes on this side. That means Logis is going to be reprising his role on Sindri, Trollface, Chaos Sorcerer, and finally Daddy Waroth yet again on the Plague Champion. So what can our Chaos players do to finish this series off, or what can our Space Marine players do to come back into this series here on Greysark Undercity? Force Commander will be moving in, starting to take some range fire from the Chaos Space Marines, so he moves back as soon as he can. Tactical Marines in cover do activate Kraken Bolts, and just by numbers and positioning, that's an early one engagement for our Space Marine players. It looks like basically Lokyo realizing that he was getting doubled up there. It's just an immediate retreat, so at the very least he does not concede any. In fact, he really didn't suffer any losses whatsoever, did not lose a single model. He is going to have to contend with the fact that they are going to lose their power node, so that will delay their power income somewhat. However, they already do have a full farm on their bottom natural. The bottom natural on this map is so close to your own base that I find that it's kind of difficult to push into it, because if you're on the other team and you're trying to push into your opponent's bottom natural, you got to have to push in pretty far. I don't know what the Tech Marine is doing right there. He's going to risk going down in retreat, especially against that damage over time bolter. Still taking some of that damage over time. Tactical Marines may be in cover, but they are down to only one model, and this is a Bile Spewer Plague Champion. And Bile Spewer, as for what I remember about damage types, it's definitely a flame type weapon. That's the weapon family that it belongs to mechanically in this game, and I believe that actually does counter cover. In fact, it might even, units in cover might even take more damage to it. Obviously, that's something I'm going to need to check up on. So I don't know if that was maybe just purchased as a cover counter. Although it is still kind of a strange upgrade to see. I feel like I haven't seen it that much lately. And there's also, again, I feel like it's going to be hard to bash generators. Anyway, I was staring a little too much at the chat, trying to follow what was going on. Scouts will, at a distance, be able to just bleed these heretic models rather slowly, so the heretic models do abandon the requisition point capture. However, now these scouts will find themselves targeted by the Chaos Space Marines. I don't know where they're going here. I don't think this gets any better for them in terms of retreat paths. Yeah, because no matter what, they're going to have to retreat through some Chaos units. And it ends up actually being a pretty good retreat path. So Assault Marines are here. With Assault Marines here, yeah, that's an easily one engagement in that particular instance. And the Chaos Lord, Lokyo. Now, Lokyo is actually in a little bit of trouble here. It looks like he is... I mean, he's certainly being pushed back quite a bit by Morty. Morty with the Sanguine Chainsword. So at this point, I've now seen all upgrades for the Apothecary in the Weapon War Gear slot in 2020 with that Sanguine Chainsword. That Sanguine Chainsword, I personally often view it as his weakest weapon upgrade. It only does 38.46 melee DPS, which is one of the lowest damage statistics for a melee weapon upgrade in the entire game for any hero whatsoever. What that weapon upgrade does give him, though, is it does give him some self-sustain, because he will actually get health back every time he swings his chainsword, and I think even when he shoots with the bolt pistol. Still, I often feel that War Gear is kind of overshadowed by the other choices, especially the customized Stormbolter. We're going to see here the Plague Champion trying to do some damage to those Tactical Marines. Instead, the Plague Champion gets knocked down by the Scouts. This squad of Scouts potentially in trouble, uses a Shotgun Blast to at least knock over the Havocs. That also gives enough time for either the Tech Marine or the Tactical Marines to get in for force melee. Heretics are in here, but I think there are so many Space Marine units here. Actually, the Heretics managed to buy the Havoc enough time. That's actually very well done. Tech Marine goes down trying to force melee. Now the Heretics overstaying their welcome just a little bit. Havocs need to switch their targets. Otherwise, oh, these Scouts, they will manage to... Man, it's taken them so long to re-infiltrate. Finally, they get around the firing arc and realize they can just shut off their infiltration. They will continue to chase down these Havocs. Eventually, these Havocs will start bleeding models if they don't retreat. being chased around by the scouts. Scouts even trying to melee. This is so funny. Finally, oh, I thought the Havocs were going to turn around with the support of the Heretics. Shotgun Blast will be used, and now the Scouts are probably just going to look for a better retreat path. And there they go. Doom Bolts go in, do hit those Tactical Marines. Tactical Marines were able to get a decap, although I wonder how much I missed over here watching that Scout chase. Assault Marines jump in, quickly finding themselves having to instantly retreat out because we've got 2 Havocs, double Havocs for Lokyo. This is a rather long build from Lokyo, getting double Chaos Space Marines and double Havocs. Very, very long build, and very, very expensive, which is part of the reason why he is the last person to get to Tier 2. Typically, I don't think you really see builds that long and that big out of Chaos players because of how expensive it is. Possibly more viable in team games if you let your teammates buy most of the power and they're getting shorter builds. Typically, even if you do see a 5-squad Tier 1 build out of a Chaos player, usually that means that there's at least one more Heretic in there. One of those is a Heretic, which is an inherently cheaper unit. Victory points are rather even at the moment, 449 to 460. Shotgun Scouts will start taking down the generator. Tactical Marines will hold in cover. They're only being targeted at by, I think, 1 Chaos Space Marine model. Eventually, Daddy Waroth realizes that he needs to move his Chaos Space Marines up so that they can actually start shooting. They're actually going to be out-trading the Chaos Space Marines because they are supported by the Nurgle Warship on this side of the map. It is going to be some Assault Marines having to get out again. These Assault Marines finding it hard to do their job, particularly against all of these Havocs. Should be a dead Force Commander in retreat. No attempted Force Melee by the Chaos Space Marines. Attempted ranged attacks, though, could still kill him anyway. Super close call. He goes down to 2 hit points, but does not die. Chaos Lord goes in, but we also have double Devastators out of... This is out of Morty. Morty, though, only with a 4-squad army. And the Devastators actually trying to reset up. They do manage to get a burst off, which does suppress the Havocs. So they're suppressed in turn. Dueling suppression teams is rather strange with the way suppression mechanics work in this game. And 1 squad of Devastator Marines needs to get out of there. Actually does not need to retreat. Eventually it probably just will so that I can restore hit points. Scouts, meanwhile, will retreat as well, and this will be our Space Marine players capturing the top victory point. It's a 2-to-1 in their favor at the moment, since they also have their natural what is up with all the setup teams as Katla. I don't see what the problem with it is. I actually really like double setup team builds. I think they're great. A lot of control. I think they're very versatile, since you can use setup teams to counter jump units, which is basically just one of those weird situations where you basically have a setup team countering its counter by simply having more of them, with just the way suppression mechanics work. So Sorcerer, meanwhile, does find himself losing in melee to the Apothecary, although the Sorcerer would actually do more damage in melee. The Apothecary was just getting all that healing from fighting in melee. Does eventually have to retreat. He won't die, luckily for him. This is going to be Lokyo starting to move out again. It's going to be an attempted engagement to take back the contested victory point. Chaos Lord coming in from a flanking angle, needs the rest of his units to come in as well. Doesn't bother to flank the Devastator Marines anymore. Instead, decided to use that Drain Life to target the Force Commander. Force Commander's at really low hit points and will need to go, or he will actually go down. Oh, look at that. That is a kill on the Force Commander by that Chaos Lord. Meanwhile, Assault Marines are in a huge amount of trouble. They jump out. That needs to be a jump out and an immediate retreat. Plasma Devastator shot goes in. Not a hugely impactful shot, though. Let's see if this one is better. Not quite. Still gets the hit, gets the disruption. Ultimately, I think this is going to be Morty losing this engagement. It's hard to tell. Where is this one scout model going? To decap Requisition? But here's going to be some kind of a call-in, a drop pod, probably with a tactical marine squad inside of it. Indeed it is. This is going to be Katla coming in for the support. Actually, no, it's Katla who's just in this lane. Morty's somewhere else. He's in the bottom. This has been Katla all along. Bloodletters, meanwhile, are these some Summoning Circle Bloodletters or some Blood Sacrifice Bloodletters, or are they? They can't be a Bloodletter squad. I think some Blood Sacrifice Bloodletters. And this will actually be our Space Marine players retaining control of the top victory point, but in the bottom, this will be LOCALgHOST actually losing control of the bottom victory point. So LOCALgHOST is in the bottom lane. I believe he is getting doubled at the moment. Indeed he is. He doesn't have much of an army. He has a melee tech marine, and I'm honestly not really sure why. I'm not sure what the melee tech marine really achieves at this point. Mostly because I'm worried with the melee tech marine, he's going to get focused down real hard by all these Chaos Space Marines, and then just get it disrupted by the Rod of Warpfire from the Sorcerer. Devastator Marine Squad countered pretty easily by that Demon Shield. Honestly, the Sorcerer didn't even really need to walk in. The Devastator Marine Squad was already countered pretty hard just by the Demon Shield itself and being focused down by the Tzeentch Chaos Space Marines. Will the Scouts go down in retreat? No, they do not. Sternguard veterans trying to focus down the Chaos Space Marines, but they are going to be engaged in melee by the Heretics, and that does scare them off, even with a heal coming in. Tech Marine trying to do some damage. Meanwhile, up in the top, plasma cannon shots still raining in, and Lokyo seems like he's having a little trouble dealing with that. There isn't even a Devastator Marine Squad, a regular Devastator, left for Katla. So at this point, I'm not sure. I guess he might want to get like maybe some kind of jump unit of his own, but I think part of what's going on with Lokyo is with his current army, I think he's bleeding a lot because he always seems to have low resources whenever I check him, but it's been a long time since he's gotten a new unit. Oh no! Friendly fire! Friendly fire is going to result in the kill on those Assault Marines. That is so tragic. And not even going to result in a kill on these Heretics. Did kill all the Heretic models, only leaves them with the Aspiring Champion. Excuse me. But meanwhile, on the bottom, this Tech Marine is trying to get in, but what can he do? Okay, finally he does get into melee. Chaos Space Marines are suppressed. And, Triple Shrines of Tzeentch, though. Shrines of Tzeentch will be taken out pretty quickly by the Predator.
An ally has taken a victory point.
Grenade goes in. Grenade's not going to be that great against the Chaos Shrine of Tzeentch. And these Doom Bolts still doing damage, but finally the Predator will finish off the Shrine of Tzeentch. Those Doom Bolts do pretty decent damage against the Tactical Marine since they do plasma damage. You know what? While at this point, Plague Champion is still in here in melee with the Tech Marine.
We are losing a requisition point to the enemy.
And was that some Dark Flames? If it was Dark Flames, I felt it was a little unnecessary. Katla's telling someone to continue playing. I don't know what happened, if someone dropped or something. Is that the case? Did I miss something in the chat? Anyway, yeah, Forest Commander there. Pretty sure he already, he definitely already burned the teleport there, so he stood no chance there in between a Chaos Space Marine squad and a Havoc. He was just going to die if he ended up staying there any longer. So Chaos will at least temporarily regain control of the top victory point, but it looks like they might be losing the bottom. Or is it going to be Morty losing a Predator instead? Plague Marines looking to move in there. Rear armor is exposed from the Predator. If it does get another shot taken, one more missile goes in, but I think the Predator is far enough away from the Plague Marines. Terminators will be called in quite a forward position, I must say. Heretics are in quite a bit of trouble, actually, but I don't think they will be killed in retreat. It's now 2-1 for our Chaos players. Top is controlled by Lokyo. Chaos Space Marines. Why are Tzeentch Chaos Space Marines moving in? I guess because they want to tie up the Plasma Devastators. The other squad does not have a mark. So at this point, they're going in for force melee. It looks like they're going in for... No, they're not going in for force melee. Oh, they are going in for force melee. I thought they were going in for force melee on the Tactical Marines, but instead, it was on the Force Commander in retreat. And that'll be another one engagement for Lokyo in the top lane. So we do have the natural victory point for our Chaos players decapped once again. Plasma cannon shots coming in for LOCALgHOST. And the Sorcerer here, what is he doing here? He doesn't realize that he's getting smacked in the face by some Terminators. So, the Tech Marine is still in here. You know, all things considered, he's not doing too bad for himself in this melee form. Whenever I see him, he is actually in melee, and he is actually just constantly in there doing damage. That Axe of the Mechanicum doing 55 power melee DPS. But let's see what's happened up top. Oh no. Lokyo was doing so well in this top lane, but it looks like he may have overextended, pushed in the Chaos Lord, and now he's got a dead Chaos Lord in a position where I don't think he has much hope of a revive. He does have plenty of requisition, but he was probably hoping to use that requisition on some kind of a super unit with all the resources that it looks like he's saving. My guess is Lokyo will probably buy back his commander. Actually, no, I think he'll probably make a super unit purchase first and then wait to buy back his commander. But all Chaos heroes are dead. It would actually make the most sense for Lokyo to buy back his Chaos Lord sooner rather than later, and then get the 2 revives here on the Sorcerer and the Plague Champion. I don't know what these Terminators are doing. They lose this fight every day of the week. They're up against Tzeentch Chaos Space Marines, 2 squads of Plague Champions whose missiles will actually hit the Terminators, and those were all supported by Nurgle Worship. Oh, I see what's going on now. Well, that is a shame. I didn't quite get it, but that must explain some of the things that happened to Logis. Logis looks like he disconnected from the game. So I guess our Chaos players are Lokyo, Daddy Waroth, and a bot. I mean, at this point, it's now a triple cap for our Space Marine players. If Logis did indeed disconnect from this game, I would expect a concede at some point. Wouldn't expect this game to go on for too much longer, but, you know, we'll see. Because honestly, it does feel really pointless to me to actually commentate a game where a player has disconnected. Much like it often feels pointless to continue playing one. Looks like Sorcerer will be killed there by the Tech Marine with that beautiful sync kill. But that is the end of the game. So, kind of sad. I mean, that does end up being a game in favor of the Space Marines. Kind of sad to see them have to take the game that way. But we are nevertheless going to move on to Game 4 in our series. We're up to game number 4 in our Faction War series. The series does move on in spite of that disconnect or whatever error happened in the last game, and it is 2-1 in favor of the Chaos players. Game number 4 will be on Angstrom Heights. Our first player going to be Morty, back on that Apothecary. Katla on the Force Commander. And finally, LOCALgHOST on the Tech Marine. Yeah, there he is. Their opponents on the Chaos side will be Daddy Waroth on the Plague Champion, Logis on Sindri, Trollface, Chaos Sorcerer, and finally, it'll be Lokyo on the Chaos Lord. So then, let's see what's going to happen here. Pretty standard builds from all players, getting Tac Squad for all of our Space Marine players, Chaos Space Marine for all of our Chaos players. Tactical Marines in cover. I feel like, if anything, they should be a little bit more passive here and trade out with the Chaos Space Marines. Instead, they're trying to go for the Sorcerer, focus down the Heretics. Apothecary is in melee, now a little bit, possibly going to be overwhelmed, especially if okay, Apothecary actually gets a special attack, uses a heal, but eventually the Apothecary will need to go sometime soon, because doesn't want to risk actually going down in retreat from all the melee damage coming out of those Heretics. Also saw that Morty will be queuing up. Yeah, he's queuing up that Sanguine Chainsword yet again, so he likes that weapon upgrade. And we did see it used to some good effect in that last game, since we might see a Heretic squad go down here. But we saw that Sanguine Chainsword allowing the Apothecary to duel against some of the heroes, like the Sorcerer, because he would be able to sustain himself as he fought. Shotgun Scouts moving in. That Shotgun Blast will knock the Chaos Space Marines out of cover, as well as basically stop them from doing damage for a period of time, and that does also get them to retreat. No Shotgun Blast will be ready for the Heretics, but they're just walking into 4 range units that they just get focused down and lose too many hit points. Here's an approach by Logis. I feel Logis might actually be slightly outgunned, though, so we do want to see some Doombolts. Doombolts go in on the Scouts, actually, and that will be a retreat from the Scouts. Force melee. Is that going to be a wipe on the Scouts? It's really close and could be. 2, 3, and does not manage to... Oh, actually does finish off the squad. Nicely played. Tactical Marines in cover here, going to be focusing on the Chaos Space Marines that are meleeing the other squad of Tactical Marines, while the Sorcerer starts tying up those Tactical Marines. Another set of Doombolts went in, but it was only a 3-bolt volley instead of the 6 from having 100 energy. Tech Marine does go down in retreat here. Victory points are pretty even at 463 to 460. And the Tech Marine will just an immediate buyback on that Tech Marine. Decides he wants to have him back out on the field as soon as possible. And the Force Commander will need to retreat there. On the bottom, these Tactical Marines will be walking out of the Havoc's firing arc. Briefly going to take some damage and be suppressed. But they are out of the firing arc. What are they going to be looking for here? Possibly moving into, I guess, a decap on the requisition point could be possible. Looks like they're going to walk right past that. I guess it's more that they want generators. They want to disrupt power income rather than requisition income, which is obviously more critical, especially at this stage of the game. So they should be able to finish off this one generator. Here is the approach by the Havocs, though, so they'll finish off that one generator, but then it definitely needs to be a retreat because they're going to start getting hit by grenades from those grenade launcher Heretics. On this side of the map, Shotgun Scouts, they need to go. They cannot win that fight against 2 Chaos Space Marines, the Plague Champion, especially when they're supported by Nurgle Worship. So this should now be a generator bash approach by Daddy Waroth, but the Devastator Marines will set up to slow it down. This will be all 3 squads getting suppressed. I feel like if he had maybe moved one of those Chaos Space Marine squads over a little bit more to the right, he might have been able to... Oh, but then remember, I totally forgot, the Plague Champion fires normally even when suppressed. Little known fact, one of those things that I had totally forgot. I only remembered that right now as I saw it happen. Like, for the past 2 months, that was something that I forgot was even a thing. Alright, Plague Marines, well now Plague Champion will get back into cover with those those Chaos Space Marines, and will eventually just win against this Tac Squad. We'll out-trade it, but other things are going on from different directions. Some more Doom Bolts are going to go in. Unfortunately, we often see just the triple bolt volley coming out of Logis, so he's not getting in really the max damage potential. And what that is that the Sorcerer's Doom Bolt's ability can either shoot 3 bolts or 6. Excuse me, or 6. It'll only shoot 6 bolts if you have at least 40 energy left after the cast. Basically, as long as you cast Doom Bolts with 100 energy or more, even though 60 energy is all that's required for it. Grenade will go in. I think that kills a model. It does. But it is a little bit harder for Logis to do that since he only has a single Heretic Squad build as opposed to 2. A double Heretic Squad build would facilitate those high-value Doom Bolts a little bit better. Assault Marines in a huge amount of trouble. Retreat's not going to be enough, and they do go down in retreat. Should have either retreated long ago, or if they had a jump, they should have jumped out. Havocs are set up, but it looks like they're just going to be pulling out here. And we're going to see a Sniper Scout squad. I don't know why the Sniper Scout is moving so close. Has much longer range than that. And that's just going to have to be a retreat. Rather unfortunate to see it managed that way. Tax could have actually taken the suppression damage and then allowed the scouts, and then sighted for the scouts as they just targeted the Havoc. Looks like a lot of Heretics died up on this side of the map, along with a few scouts. Tech Marine is in a lot of trouble. He just needs to retreat before he is actually just incapacitated. Devastator Marines from one angle are getting the suppression, but the Havocs... Oh no, this squad of Devastator Marines is not setting up. Daddy Waroth is getting around the firing arc of this other squad of Devastator Marines, and it's just going to be the retreat called by Katla. It does feel like our Space Marine players do have such small armies in comparison with their Chaos counterparts. Especially Morty. Morty obviously lost a scout squad. I wonder if he lost something else, because it just seems like he has no army. Lokyo, meanwhile, once again going for that rather long Tier 1 build of the double Chaos Space Marines, the double Havocs. He's even gone upgrades on his Chaos Space Marines with the double Eternal War. So Lokyo investing very heavily into Tier 1. And this is something that, well, it mostly only works in team games. Well, I mean, there are also times when big builds have been done in 1v1 games, but usually that involves cheaper units, which allow you to get a lot of map control. Interesting to see different styles of play, though. We've obviously seen a few examples of players trying to run with extremely short Tier 1 builds in other series, trying to tech a bit faster, whereas Lokyo choosing to have that army presence of getting a really heavy Tier 1. All right, we are going to see the Force Commander teleport in. He's teleporting right in. Battle Cry is active. Suppression is in from the Devastator Marine squads. I think this is looking, to me, it's looking like a one engagement. Oh no. The second Devastator Marine squad didn't set up to suppress the Raptors on their, on landing. Okay, they will now get suppressed. Oh, but here are some Bloodletters, and this is a Bloodletter squad from Logis. No more blood sacrifice. And that's going to be a Devastator Marine squad wiped as well. I think that belonged to Katla. I don't know what the Chaos Raptors are still in here for, though. All right, they will be lucky enough to get out alive. And Bloodletters phase out of into the warp so that they can just straight up walk up to the Devastator Marines. They will cut apart those Devastator Marines like a hot Hellblade through power armor. And, I mean, no retreat ever even happened there. Down in the bottom of the map, though, it is going to be, in spite of the huge army that Lokyo has, he is being pushed back. Well, he is getting doubled at the moment. That's probably part of the reason why. It's also partly part of the reason why whoever's playing up in this lane for the Space Marines is struggling so much. Generator Bash is going to come in pretty quickly from these double Zinch Chaos Space Marines. In the bottom, a turret will be put down, but the Tech Marine also goes down as well. I don't know, will he be able to hold this position? But that noxious cloud also potentially wiping the devastated Marines, and indeed it does. I think eventually this tarantula turret does go down. A little interesting quirk about it, how apparently if you are in melee with the tarantula turret, it actually can't shoot at you or suppress you. So, game was even for a time, but it's starting to spiral out of control and into the favor of our Chaos players. They have a triple cap, 402 victory points to 238. And that triple cap ticks down fast. Now it's at 2-0. Dreadnought is completely isolated, but there is no real AV to deal with it. There are only light sources of AV, and the Bloodletters actually do decent damage just because they have pretty high base DPS, but at the same time they're also taking so much damage from that splash damage power fist. Actually, I'm not sure if it's technically a power fist, but either way, the fist. Okay, going to use the Emperor's Fist there. That ability actually is called the Emperor's Fist. I don't know if the Dreadnought gets out of here. Can the Tzeentch Marines continue to chase it down and finish it off? I think they can. And indeed they do. Librarian going to be moving in here. Does have the Force Staff. And the Apothecary will go down in retreat. It's now actually a double cap for our Space Marine players, but not for long. With the Grenade Launcher Heretics will get a decap on the contested victory point. Demon Armor goes in. And the Librarian is going to use the Force Barrier ability. Will that reach the Heretics in time to knock them off the cap? And it does. Delays the recapture, at least for now. And actually now here's some support moving in. However, Sniper Scouts potentially in a bad position. Chaos Space Marines looking to get into melee, but they will be knocked over. These are some Chaos Space Marines with no mark, but an Aspiring Champion Grenade goes in as well. Chaos Space Marines will need to retreat. Doom Bolts go in, but either it was just a miss or they were kind of obstructed by the terrain, which is often just a tough thing to deal with about how you use Doom Bolts. Sometimes just trying to actually figure out how it behaves when terrain comes into play. Tactical Marines will be dropped for Morty. Such small armies for our Space Marine players, though, trying their best to hold on, but it's going to be hard with such small armies. Chaos Space Marines were suppressed by the high-powered shot from LOCALgHOST. Surprising to see that weapon upgrade. Especially against Chaos, I feel like it's the lowest value weapon upgrade that the Tech Marine can get. Especially when you have access to an overcharged plasma gun or a melt-a-gun. But nevertheless, that is what he got. He also has the Artificer armor. Decap happening by the Heretics. At this point in the game, I'm not sure. Well, I mean, I guess the decap is worth it, but eventually he also wants to destroy the generators too, rather than... and it will be the las cannon that's just finishing it off, which is... las cannons, once all vehicles are destroyed, las cannons often lack a purpose in life, and destroying a generator is one of the few useful things that they can do when there are no vehicles out on the field. Are we going to see any more Tactical Marine models go down in retreat? It doesn't look like it will be so. Raptor's going to start slowly bashing this generator, or rather that node. It's now a 2-1 for our Chaos players again. All things considered, man, our Space Marine players are going to Tier 3. If anything, I feel like I want them to stay in Tier 2 and rebuild armies. I feel like they could use the resources that they're getting to go into Tier 2, along with the resources they already have, to actually get 2 units out on the field, and then be able to better actually fight head-to-head against the Chaos Army. Oh my god, what a warp fire coming out of Logis, knocking over those units. Sniper Scouts should go down in retreat. It would be a big surprise if they don't, but I think they're not being properly targeted, and they actually get out of there alive against all odds. This tactical marine squad, it's the Stern Guard veteran, even just gets wiped. What happened? That one needed to go. Orb of the Omnicide going in. Often surprising to see orbs of the Omnicide when you're not up against vehicles. Oh no, the Space Marines are getting slaughtered. But one of the other things that the Orb of the Omnicide does is that it does drain the energy of of whatever gets hit by it, so would prevent something like a Chaos Lord from casting spells. Oh dear. I'm afraid that's looking like it's going to be it. Librarian was shot down in retreat. Oh god, another... Oh my god. Squads killed in retreat. It is falling apart. At this point, I don't even know if it's appropriate to say that it's falling apart. I think it has fallen. And I think, although the concede has not been called, I do not see a way for our Space Marine players to come back into this series. Grenade goes in, but damage is mitigated by that Demon Armor. Assault Terminators are called in. Do we see Tome of Subjugation from our Sorcerer? Not yet, but I don't even think the Terminators are going to be enough to make a difference here. It's literally Terminators against the entire Chaos Army at the moment. And I think... Actually, I think one Chaos Squad was killed. Are we going to see another Terminator call in from someone? No, this is just going to be a Venerable Dreadnought. Just going to be a Venerable. It is a Venerable. Venerable charges in. Predator is also now out on the field for Morty, so they're still building things, still fighting. But I don't think they can do it at this point. And more importantly, even if they can start fighting, they need to get caps. It's still a triple cap in favor of our Chaos players, and we're getting very close to the point of no return. At this point, I mean, no units are even in range to cap. That has to be the game in favor of the Chaos players. Predators driving around, targeting things. Some Terminators trying to finish off its Scout Squad, but they infiltrate before that happens. Venerable Dreadnought will even be killed. And the GG is finally called by LOCALgHOST. Concede has not happened yet. I think we will just see the VPs tick all the way down to 0. And that will be the end of the game in favor of our Chaos players. That means they take the full Faction War series. Fortunately, out of all the Faction War series for this month, this probably was the weakest one. But I do hope you enjoyed it nevertheless. Have a good night.